Hello, my impatience. It is I, Andrew the Android Kowalski. How are you doing? How are things going with you? So, yeah, I'm live here. So, is it true my mother and stepfather are sexual sadists? Is it true they got off sexually from torturing me? Especially my stepfather? I think it's pretty obviously true. Taylor says nope. I don't think it's a delusion. I think my stepfather was bullying me. I think he was intimidating me. I think he was gossiping about me behind my back with my mother. I think they're sexual sadists who got off from my pain and suffering. Just whatever. Like Prince Hamilton says, calm yourself, calm down. Just calm down. Everything's okay. Somebody says, you need medication, Andrew. You need medication. Somebody says, dude, the tragedy is outweighing the comedy at this point. You need an immediate change. Christopher says, I'm handsome if that means anything. Yes. Yes, I'm pretty sexy. Put me in Hollywood movies, man. Put me in Hollywood movies. Make me a movie star. I'm sexier than most movie stars, quite frankly. Taylor says, you don't deserve to be in movies. Why don't I? Somebody says, you can't act. Taylor says, how's your dad doing? Well, I mean, he was crying. My mother said, you know, you're going to be sorry. Obviously, when your father, you know, he was crying how he misses his son. He was crying how, obviously, I don't know if he got any. Somebody says he's a dad without a support system. Well, so is the truth the monster behind the mask is really me? Is the truth it's all delusions and psychosis? Somebody says Poppy lost his son to mental illness, and it's very sad. So Dead Cop says yes. Somebody says you are schizoaffective, you have delusions. So it's really all mental illness. There's an ant crawling on my face on the computer screen right now. Do you really think this is an issue that could be resolved by Dead Cops says it's all your mental illness, dude. You're really sick with schizoaffective. Taylor says you need your medication. Giant Bic Letter says every day of your life is a self-made hell. Somebody says your father, Poppy, is a good man that only wanted the best for his son. Okay. I'll try to accept that. Do you think my mother and stepfather's intentions were good too? Or do you think they had more malevolent intent? Uh, Somebody says, I'll try to accept that. Okay, I'll turn the switch. Somebody says, it's over and over again. You have a support system and many others would kill for. It's the same thing day after day. Somebody says, you will miss Poppy when he's gone. I'm sure I will. I'll be pretty heartbroken. Um, so try to appreciate him now while he's still here, because I'm going to really miss him. Believe it or I mean, I know some people say with my constant fighting with him, but I really will. I mean, even though him and I can fight at times, I do love my father, even though I sometimes don't get along with him. I do love him. I really do. And, I don't, I want, uh, 666 says, I don't see what your family stands to gain for lying. Prolonging this makes them suffer as well. It makes no sense for them to lie. Somebody says, you treat your father awfully and your parents awfully. You are lying. No one treats their dying father like this. Um, Horn Dog says, I'm not sure you can comprehend love anymore. Well, I want to try to. So, what do you think the problem is that? So he says, will you miss Dale? I don't know. I mean, is he nefarious? Is he a sadist who got off from my pain and suffering? Um, my Dale did Dale get off from my pain and suffering? If so, probably not. So he says, Dale is an old man who made a mistake of marrying a woman with a son like you. If you say so. I think the reason I'm this way is a result of what they did to me. You haven't seen the years of trauma and hell they put me through. I was a happy kid, a timid kid, a passive kid. I'm just reacting to what but stop blaming them, really. Just, no, I'm not lying. I think they basically tortured me. And that's the reason I'm this way. And they know it too. I mean, so he says it's not true. It's not true. Well, regardless of what the truth is, whether or not I was tortured by Dale, whether or not, it's my responsibility to create a life for myself. Somebody says at a group home, there'll be no internet, no phone, no food stamps. Work towards getting yourself independent before your parents pass away. And these social media, this social media content is not my ticket to riches and fame. This is my ticket to wasting my life. Somebody says it's so over for you. Somebody says you always say work towards independence and you never do. So he says, how many times have you said this? You say it every day. It's every single day. Mm-mm-mm. So he says, then he'll make a video in a stupid voice saying he's coming back with determination. Peter says, tell the truth. Erie says, I've been like this since high school. All right, if you say so. How do you know, Erie? You didn't know me then. Giant Big Letter says, I knew you. Taylor says, I thought we all went to college together. So he says, there's a rich kid, 45, who lives at home and is going insane because he can't connect with anybody. You really remind me of him sometimes. So, what would you guys suggest doing to fix my life? What would you guys suggest? Somebody says, take more medication. Somebody says, smash your computer and take meds and make money. Social media is not your ticket to riches and fame, it's your ticket to pouring your life down the drain. Somebody says, stop gooning 10 times a day, too. All right. I mean, these are good suggestions. These are good suggestions. And they're logical suggestions, too. So it says, you know you aren't going to do it. Somebody says, make some time for literally anything else. What you're doing, you're just pouring your life down the drain. You're flushing your life down the toilet. Do something, anything else. Somebody says, you enjoy being stuck in your delusional fantasy world since you refuse medication. Somebody says, you can't even watch a movie without getting up a million times. All right. I mean, who are you, Giant Big Lighter, if you claim to have known me? You seem to have a bias against me. Somebody says, what's your... Apparently, he claims he knew me in high school. I suspect it's my cousin. He says, my bias is against your pathetic behavior. 666 says, you know my opinion on your artwork. If you really think you're cut out a lot of the words, you could make a decent portfolio of your work. Giant Big Letter says, you're making a fool of yourself daily. No, I think it's my cousin. I think he went to MacArthur High School. I think it's my cousin. Bud says, I'm your cousin. So he says, whether it's your cousin or not. So he says, I think your whole family watches this. So I'm looking for a scapegoat to blame, my life having turned out this way on. So maybe I could blame it on. I'm looking for somebody to blame. Taylor says, blame yourself. Horn Dog says, I blame Dr. Copland and the medications. Erie says, I was more stable when I was on Abilify injections. Horn Dog says, I don't think you can recover from a vegetable mind due to over medication and dehydration from running. Taylor says, you need therapy. All right, guys. Well, I got the art class tomorrow. I'm meeting my new therapist Wednesday. I'm going to be having an appointment with a new therapist Wednesday who I'm going to talk to. I'm going to have a psychiatric evaluation in July, and I'm going to get a new psychiatrist. So I think that's I think that's a good thing. So I'm going to be meeting somebody to talk to on Wednesday. Somebody says, "What's the excuse for not taking your new meds going to be this time?" Well, obviously, the adverse side effects are pretty frustrating. Erie says, when Andrew's gone, they could rent his apartment out to a nice Haitian couple. Somebody says, you don't think the current effects of your mental illness are debilitating? That's a good point. So he says the side effects of the treatment, yeah. So he says, I think you need to get out of that apartment and on your own in a group home. Fair enough. I don't know what the hell I accomplished in here for the past, 5, 6 years. I mean, I guess I got sort of independent, but I don't know what this apartment's really accomplished. It was almost like Psychosis Land, like an internet fantasy world, really. It was just like a descent into fucking Psychosis Land, right? Like, what do you think? What do you think this? Oh, fucking Psychosis Land, man. Yeah, somebody says the years prior, from 2016 to 2019, when you were around your mother and stepfather, that was even worse. Kylie, go potty. Kylie, get off the couch. That was worse, obviously, but you know. Ah. So he says you have a coping mechanism of blaming your parents, scapegoating your parents. You blame everybody in your family for your life having turned out so horribly. So if you guys hate me so much, like Erie is saying things like, if you guys hate me so much, then why are you watching me? Like if you guys hate me so much, why are you watching me? Like just to taunt me? Like what why are you watching? You know? Actually, maybe his parents should get an order of protection. Like why are you watching? Like why are you watching just to criticize me? Some 666 says, I don't think anyone here hates you. Like what you're just here to make nasty comments. Horndog says, we want to see you pull it together and achieve your life goals. Peter says, I don't hate you. Dead Cops says, you are funny sometimes. Taylor says, we are trying to show you the reality which you refuse to see. Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna lie in bed. I think it's about that time. It's about 8 p.m. Eastern time. 666 says, it's just frustrating, and at the end of the day, maybe we are the crazy ones to think you will change. Peter says, I also wouldn't take advice from chit chatters in the web. They say, obviously, take advice from trained medical professionals like the social workers. Erie says, yeah, go to sleep, do the art class tomorrow, and see your father tomorrow, and make the best on Wednesday with the social worker. People say, go to a trained medical professional. Don't listen to chit chatters on the internet. Fair point. So he says, sleep it off and think about apologizing to Poppy. Well, to be fair, I didn't actually say anything to Poppy. I'll just think about, yeah, just Just yeah. Do you realize I'm sick? I need medications, and I want to like love and support my father. Because if I don't, I'm going to regret it. When he passes away, I do care about my father. Um, you know, take my medication. Oh, I do care about my father. Somebody says, Poppy just wants the best for you. Somebody says, if you cared, you would do something. Okay. All right, all right, all right. So let's my father's going to be at the house this week. My father's going to be at the house this week, so try to get along with him, and have a nice week with him. And I will. Bud says you won't, but I will. Horn Dog says, "Do you think Man Crush Eddie's brother is in the chat? Maybe he's Bud. I don't know." Who the hell knows? I don't know who these people are. So he says, try drawing some famous people. He says, draw some cats. Draw some cats. All right, guys. I think on that note, I'm going to get going to bed. Thanks for watching. Yuri asks, do you think Mama was somebody he knew in real life? Some people suggest it was either Man Crush Ed's, a member of Man Crush Ed's family. That's who people suggest it was. But I don't know that for a fact. So the Mama from OnlyFans might have been a member of Man Crush Ed's family. It doesn't really matter though. Just try to work on get my life together. A Horn Dog says, I think it was Erie. I think it was people he knew from the past. All right, guys. Erie says, that would be so bad. But to be honest, I don't know who this Mama is officially. Erie says it was like a humiliation ritual. All right, guys. Have a good night. Peace out.